My name is Jessie, and today I want to share my journey of English reading practice with you. I know many people find English reading difficult or boring, but for me, it became something very special. It changed my life in ways I never imagined. I was not born in an English-speaking country. English always felt like a strange language, full of strange words and rules. But little by little, through practice, patience, and a lot of small steps, it became my friend. Let me tell you how I did it, how it felt, what worked for me, what didn't, and why I think English reading practice can change your life too, just as it changed mine at the beginning, feeling lost with English when I was younger. English reading felt like trying to read a secret code. At school, teachers gave us long texts and told us to read them, but every page felt heavy, almost impossible. I looked at the words, but they did not stay in my mind. I kept asking myself, why is this so hard? Am I stupid? My classmates seemed to do better. They read out loud with more confidence. Their voices sounded smoother, like music, but when I tried, my voice shook, my heart beat fast, and sometimes I mispronounced words and people laughed quietly. It hurt. It made me afraid to try again. At home, I tried reading English books alone. But after a few minutes, my mind got tired. The words danced on the page. Sometimes I didn't know the meaning. Sometimes I understood the meaning, but not the feeling behind it. I asked my parents for help, but they didn't speak English either. I remember thinking, maybe English is not for me. Maybe I can live my life without it. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. English was everywhere. On signs, in music, in movies, on the internet. If I wanted to understand the world better, I had to keep trying. Finding my first English friend, a book one day. When I was about 14, I went to a small bookstore near my school. I was not looking for anything special. I was only walking to pass time before my bus arrived. In that bookstore, I saw a book with a colorful cover. It had a drawing of a young girl with big eyes, holding a red umbrella. The title was simple, and something about it caught my heart. I picked it up. The book was written in simple English for young readers. I opened the first page and started reading. To my surprise, I could understand it. Not every single word, but enough to follow the story. For the first time, I felt something magical. I was not studying English. I was living it. I was walking with the girl in the rain, feeling what she felt. I bought the book with my pocket money. At home, I read it again and again. The more I read, the easier it became. I started to notice new words, new ways of saying things. I underlined words I didn't know and looked them up later. Slowly, English was turning from a code into a language. That little book became my friend. It made me realize, English reading practice does not always mean reading something difficult or boring. It can be about finding something that speaks to your heart. Step by step, making reading a daily habit. After finishing that first book, I wanted more, but I was careful. I didn't want to jump to something too hard and get discouraged again, so I looked for other books at the same level, short novels, stories written for English learners, or even adapted classics. Every day, I tried to read at least 10 pages. Some days it was easy. Other days, I felt tired or busy, but I still tried to read a little. Even one page was better than none. Slowly, it became a habit. Like brushing my teeth, at first, I still needed a dictionary beside me. But after a few months, I noticed something surprising. I needed the dictionary less and less. My eyes and mind started to guess the meaning of words from the context. Reading also helped my listening. When I heard words in movies or songs, I recognized them because I had seen them on the page. English stopped feeling like a wall. It started to feel like a road, opening to new places. Reading aloud. Finding my voice. One thing that really helped me was reading out loud. At first, I felt shy, even in my own room. My voice sounded strange to me. But I remembered how my teacher once said, "If you read aloud, you train your tongue and your ears." So every evening, after finishing my homework, I read a few paragraphs aloud. Sometimes, I recorded my voice on my phone. When I listened, I heard my mistakes, missing words, wrong pronunciation, but I also heard my improvement. Reading aloud made me more confident. When I had to read in class later, I was still nervous, but less afraid. My words flowed more naturally. My teacher noticed and encouraged me. That small praise meant so much. I realized English reading practice is not only for the mind, but also for the mouth and the heart. It teaches you to hear yourself, to become your own teacher, trying different texts, not just books at first. I only read storybooks, but later, I wanted more variety. So I started reading English newspapers for young people, short news stories, blog posts, song lyrics, and even subtitles of my favorite TV shows. At the beginning, news articles felt too formal and dry, but after some practice, I started to enjoy them. They taught me new vocabulary, especially about the world, politics, science, and culture. Song lyrics were fun. They helped me learn idioms and expressions. Sometimes, I was surprised to find the lyrics were different from what I thought I heard. Subtitles helped me see how people really speak, which is often different from written English. By reading many different things, I realized English is not just one thing. It has many faces: formal, casual, poetic, funny. And each type teaches you something different. The power of stories, feeling not just understanding. One day, I started reading a novel in English, not an adapted one, but a real one. It was hard. The first few chapters took me a long time, but I kept going. And then something beautiful happened. I stopped thinking in my native language. Instead of translating every sentence, I started to feel the meaning directly. The characters became real in my mind. Their feelings became my feelings. That book made me cry at the end. I didn't realize before that a book in another language could touch me so deeply. It taught me that reading is not only about understanding words. It's about understanding people, feelings, and life itself. Since then, I always chose books that made me feel something, not just ones that were good for practice. Because when your heart is involved, your brain works harder and remembers better. My reading routine today, English reading is part of my life, just like eating breakfast. Every morning, I read for about 20 minutes, sometimes from a novel, sometimes from an article online. In the evening, I read again, usually before sleeping. Even if I am tired, I read a few paragraphs. It calms my mind. On weekends, I give myself more time, maybe an hour or two, to read without rushing. I also keep a small notebook. When I see new words or interesting phrases, I write them down. Sometimes I draw pictures beside them to remember better. I don't memorize them by force. I meet them again naturally in other books or shows, and they become my friends. I believe reading a little every day is more powerful than reading a lot once in a while. The brain loves habits, and slow, steady practice changes your English over time. Reading with friends and online communities for a long time. Reading was a private thing for me, but then I discovered online reading groups. People from all over the world read the same book and share their thoughts in English. At first, I was shy to write comments in English. What if I made mistakes? But soon, I saw that everyone made mistakes sometimes. The important thing was sharing ideas, not being perfect. Discussing books with others made me notice things I missed. It also pushed me to read more carefully, because I wanted to share something interesting. Sometimes, I also read books together with a real-life friend. We choose a book, read a few chapters, then meet and talk about it. It makes reading more fun and less lonely. The difficult days, staying motivated of course, there were times when I wanted to give up. Some books were too hard, too boring, or too long. Sometimes I felt tired of always practicing. During those times, I reminded myself why I started: to understand the world better, to feel stories in their original language, to grow as a person. I also allowed myself to take breaks or change books. It's okay to stop reading something you don't like. Reading should feel like a journey, not a punishment. Another thing that helped was rereading my favorite books. The second or third time, the text felt easier, and I noticed things I missed before. It gave me a sense of progress and hope. How? Reading changed my life because of English reading practice. Many doors opened for me. I can now read articles, books, and studies in English, which helps in my studies and career. My vocabulary grew. My writing improved too, because by reading good sentences, I learned how to write them myself. But the biggest change was inside me. Reading in English taught me patience, curiosity, and confidence. It showed me that I can do difficult things if I don't give up. It made me feel connected to people from other countries, other times, other worlds. It also made me realize that no matter where we come from, we share the same hopes, fears, and dreams. That's something truly beautiful. My tips for you if you want to start English reading practice. Here are my humble tips. Start small. Choose short, easy texts at first. Don't feel shy about reading children's books or graded readers. Read what you love: stories, comics, news, anything that makes you curious. Make it daily. Even 10 minutes a day is enough to build a habit. Read aloud. It helps with pronunciation and confidence. Keep a notebook. Write new words, phrases, and expressions. Use a dictionary wisely. Don't stop for every word. Try to guess first. Join others, reading groups, clubs, or online forums. Make reading social and fun. Be patient. Progress is slow, but real. Trust the process. Final words now. When I look back, I see that English reading practice was not just about language, it was about discovering the world and discovering myself. I hope my story helps you see that reading in English is not impossible. It starts with one page, one paragraph, even one sentence. And step by step, you build something beautiful inside. Thank you for reading my story. My name is Jessie, and I believe you can do it too. Your journey might look different from mine, but remember, every page you read brings you closer to the person you want to become. So, pick up that book, open that article, read those subtitles, and let English reading practice become your own story. Thank you for watching.